little by little. All right. There we go. Okay. Just going to give some time for people to show up. See a few people on Instagram coming in. Awesome. Just giving a few minutes for people to show up on Facebook and then the Instagram. So pretty soon. Oh, some people on Facebook too. Hello to my sister and hey Bianca. Thank you. I'm excited. Let's see, we got a few people on Instagram too. Okay. Gonna give it another minute and then we'll get going here. There's Nadia and there's Simon. Hey guys. We got Charles. I got my mom. Hi mom. On Instagram. Okay. Cool. So, gotta remember to stay in the microphone for the Facebook. So for the two viewers, I'll be juggling between the two views to make sure the mic works. But let's get rolling on this book launch. So thank you, everyone, for coming to the launch of my brand new novel. This won't be too long. It'll be like 30 minutes probably at the most. But yeah, thank you again. And today we are celebrating the launch of Obsidian's Command. There's the new book, and the physical copy is actually pretty chunky here. I think the spine is close to like 2 inches almost, so quite a bit. But yeah, so I'll explain a bit of the book, but also just give a quick brief summary of me. Most of you already know who I am, but those that aren't fully familiar, I'm Con Lavery, a Canadian author who's currently living in Vancouver, and I'm a graphic designer by trade. So been working as a self-employed, I guess, business owner since 2014, and working from home ever since, which comes in super handy when promoting books and all the formatting because putting these things together can be a little tedious. And then a lot of the visual work and marketing helps a lot too. So I do that by any time that I need, but usually during weekdays. And then the writing I do in the morning and on weekends. And that's when I write all these dark fiction and horror novels. And the book we're talking about today is The Obsidian's Command, Ashbourne Book 2, and it just launched. So basically, a quick summary of this book is it follows our main character here, Lola Cabello, who is a convict. She is we find her in jail in the very beginning, as we'll find out when I read you chapter 1. And she's quite jaded, quite angry because of the events that happened in the previous book. And book 2 takes place 2 years after Crystal Moth Conspiracy, and she was betrayed, angered, and still wanting revenge while recovering from a very addictive drug. The Ashbourne series that Obsidian Command takes place in is follows this drug known as Ash that she becomes obsessed with, believing that it's going to make her better, makes her smarter and stronger, more resilient, and all that. So she thinks, and there's a lot of come down from it. The next day usually. So even though she's in prison, she's forced to be sober, and she still gets the itch. So she's dealing with that while trying to get revenge on the villains who ruined her life. Two of her friends died, and her mother happened to have a heart attack when the police raided her home because Lola's not giving evidence to the police because they are also involved with the Crystal Moths, being the gang that are kind of, they have their tendrils and everything. They have their influences in the media, the law, the government, and the economics. And as we find in book two, without any spoilers, they start getting into the scientific industrial complex and influencing where science goes. So that is really changes the way Lola approaches her strategy, and she uses a lot of her reporter skills to try to uncover the crystal moths and what they're doing, while juggling her drug addiction and basically her burning rage to overcome and destroy the crystal moths and the head honcho at the top named Mistema. That's basically book two. And a lot of events happen in book one that are good to know. So if you want to check that out, you can definitely do that. But you can pick up this one right where it goes, and that's just for Lola's character. There are other characters in this book that are have their own stories and subplots that happen, such as Scalebane. She is the masked character in this collage of characters. She's also featured on the Crystal Moth Conspiracy cover with her sai drawn out. And as you can see, she's a reptile person. The reptile people, known as Vaselids, they are working with the Crystal Moth gang because the Vaselids are the ones that produce the ash drug. And Scalebane is one of like 15 remaining Vaselids in the entire world. And she doesn't trust the crystal moth. She doesn't think that they have her people's interest at heart. So she starts unraveling the truth behind the crystal moths while Lola's doing her own thing. But Lola also has a jaded past with Scalebane. So those two kind of have an interesting conflict. And then we run into some other familiar characters like Detective Iglesias. He plays a big part working within the law because he's one of the few only good detectives that are left in the police force in Canadian major crimes. And he starts uncovering the giant conspiracy behind the crystal moths that Lola did in book one. So he starts going down his own spiral and ends up connecting with a new character who's a hacker. And they are an interesting one because they're all quite effective in the cyber world and uncovering hidden information and databases, but in the real world that they aren't very effective. It's like a lot of the classic hacker type character tropes. So they were a fun one to write. And then we got our fan favorite actually from Crystal Moth Conspiracy, which is Cenarian here. He shows up again, and if you've read this book, Lola and him did not end their allegiance on the best of terms without spoiling anything. So in the second book, things get complicated as Lola eventually starts going after the crystal moths again, and Cenarian gets involved because he is part of the old world, like the Vaselids, and even the crystal moth leaders are from the old world. So lots of intertwining plots going on. So won't keep describing all of it because then there won't be a book to read. But yeah, that was basically the overall premise of what's going on in book two and where book one left off. Because book one launched in June 2023. So it's been about a year and a half. If you've read Crystal Moth Conspiracy, that'll get you caught up. You can jump right into Obsidian's command with a refresher. And this happens to be the second book that I have released this year. Earlier this year, I had a prequel to Ashbourne. So you might have been here for this launch back in January. This is a free ebook from my newsletter, so quite short compared to the other ones because it basically gives you some backstory on Cenarian, who we were just discussing there. And that is all of the exciting news behind the book. And I will read you a chapter, and then I will show you some of the artwork found within the book. That's where some of the graphic design background comes into play. And yeah, I'll open up to Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to post on Facebook or Instagram, and then I'll scroll up and come back to them. Okay, so chapter 1 of Obsidian's Command. Let me get the Facebook microphone. So, chapter 1, For the Enemy. Life in Canada's prisons isn't too harsh if you've had a life like Lola Cabello's. Anyone with half a brain takes federal centers over provincial because there's no need for the ridiculous jumpsuits. Regardless, being behind bars wears the psyche down. Even the most willful crumble. Sorry, Mum, is the thought that loops Lola's mind day after day in her cell. Correction. Jail is rough, and Lola isn't managing. She reminds herself she isn't in the orange suit. If she had money, like some of the other gals in the Women's Correctional Center, she could bring her own TV. Canada prison life differs from their southern neighbors. It doesn't match the United States in a lot of ways. Goddamn Ash is the second phrase that enters Lola's mind. While rising from her bed, her arms beg for a scratch even after 2 years. A guard unlocks her cell. She waves at Lola with crusted fingers and guides her down the white hall, passing the other deep blue cell doors under each fluorescent light. Like a wise inmate, she doesn't dare look into any of the open doors. It's rude. You will start a fight. Keep your eyes forward, spend enough time here, and the unwritten rules become ingrained in your mind. Beyond the bars, freedom is a limitless expanse. In Lola's view, no one is exempt from being restrained by covert systems and concealed intentions. Sinister motives run the system. The guard escorts her into a spacious room flooded with sunlight that illuminates the flint plastic chairs and tables. It's been ages since she laid eyes on this place. Good little inmates get to have close interactions with people in the open visitation department under the watchful eye of supervision. Most civilians have closed visits, separated from their dearest by a barrier of glass. Others must use the wretched video screen centers, converting loved ones into digital ghosts. Why? Hell if Lola knows. That was a wise move, Canada. The space has 7 other inmates sitting at tables. One woman holds her wife's hand with a grip that says, "We'll be okay." Another young girl has her frowning parents. A middle-aged lady and a mustached man face each other. Tears and frowns leave their relation undetermined. The guard stops by the door and closes it with a clang, chewing her gum. With a loud smack, Lola walks into the area, spotting her guest. At the far corner of the room is a man in a deep blue suit. His cupped hands cover a folder. Brown eyes watch her through circular glasses. "There's my gal," says the man with a thick Polish brogue. "You're a minimal risk offender, keeping that inmate score nice and low." He smiles, emphasizing the wrinkles across his aging face. Lola raises her palms while sitting down. "Look at me. It took rotting for 2 goddamn years," she thinks. Lola would love to relapse on the simmering anger that lives below her behavior. Hate is the fuel that keeps her fire burning inside. She can control it. "Oscar, why are you here?" Lola asks. "I haven't seen you in what, over a year? The last time you tried to get me out was pointless." "No, your case is closed nice and tight. The evidence points to you. We could plead temporary insanity if you'd prefer." Lola's hands clench, the fingernails digging into her palms. "No way. I've told you I didn't do it." "Stay calm. We're not here to go over the past. I don't care. The chances of getting you out of here anytime soon are next to none. Which is why I'm keeping low. Maybe I can get a parole officer put into a community. I don't know." "Unlikely. The public wants your head for Ashley Amber," Oscar says. "Imagine if Canada had the death penalty? Wowzers." Right, Lola thinks, recalling the precious goddess that she apparently stripped from this world. Her wrath consumes her mind as she rests her chin on her palm, losing interest in her lawyer. If she stays in her cell, she can finish her sentence. She'll walk free. Oscar's wasting her time. We lost a genuine hero, she says. Her kind words don't reflect her cynical, flat tone, reflecting on the late pop star Ashley Amber's rise to fame. Music, movies, and gossip kept people hooked. Then, Lola took it away, apparently. Oscar squints. No need for sarcasm. I brought you a far more interesting gift. He slides the file folder to Lola. Go on, take a look. Lola flips the binder open to see a mugshot of a young girl, early 20s, a good 5 years younger than Lola. The gal has short, spiked hair with buzzed sides and defined cheekbones. She hasn't seen an official police document of a criminal profile, but this validates what she'd presume it to be. To the right of the photo is a 2-column format: age, birth date, address, offense, and name: Sierra Palicio. You seen her before? Oscar asks. Yeah, she showed up here a month ago. What of her? Oscar leans closer, his voice lowering into a whisper with coffee breath pushing from under his mustache. She has flown too close to the light, scathing her wings. Lola's hands turn to ice. Her throat closes, thinking the word moth. She speaks through her teeth. I knew you were a fucking moth. A grin spread from cheekbone to cheekbone on Oscar's face, his top teeth extended by half a centimeter into pointed fangs. Oh no, sweetheart. Oscar was a solid lawyer for you, yes? Played by the rules with a few bends here and there. The man's brown eyes swirl, saturating the color. The sclera dyes black, fading the irises with a glimmer of deep rubies. God damn it, is what Lola can say, leaning on her palm. She hasn't seen an old world being since confinement. It's why prison isn't so bad. That tormented Alice in Wonderland part of her existence was severed, along with the rest of her life, when those cuffs went on. The isolation was another nice perk of Canadian prison. It felt like a vacation. This moth's words are encoded and clear to her. Murder. Oscar pushes Sierra's documents closer to Lola. We need you to do what you do best. His eyes and teeth blip to normal in a single blink, and he leans back. In return, we will reward you. A shapeshifter? Lola asks. Curiosity is getting the better of her, and she jumps to the conclusion. That's stating the obvious, the alleged Oscar says. Ever meet one on your adventures? No. What does a crystal moth shapeshifter want? Ah, the prize will be of great interest, yes? Lola leans back, folding her arms. What did you do with the real Oscar? There's no need for that. Unlike Sierra here, he was innocent. His sausage ring finger taps the document. What is that? It's amazing that you don't recognize her, Oscar says. You know these open visitation hours are limited. She was there the day you discovered Ash and an original street dealer who distributed the first shipment. The fateful day was long ago. Another memory eroded into the sand in her mind. Her world spun around, twice, ever since she chased that damn drug. Lola stares at the man, or whatever he is, knowing what he is going to request. Oscar continues. Remember Chen, that original Ash dealer? We need you to do what you did to him. I didn't kill Chen, Lola hisses as her face scrunches. Indirectly kill him? Oscar raises a bushy brow. All I did was turn him into the police. You people have corrupted the law. You knew that. Therefore, an accomplice. I gave solid evidence to real cops. They're out there. I'm familiar with your history, Lola Cabello. The law is evil. The crystal moths are the big baddies who ruined your cute life of being a reporter. The media is in on the game too. It's one big conspiracy that works against the poor little goth girl who's too foolish to realize that she is solely responsible for destroying herself. Yes, murdering celebrities, innocent workers, and even guilty moths won't give you a savior status. Lola will get nowhere with this thing. Her best interest is to stay calm, not argue, and learn what it wants. Oscar says, Don't forget, there's a clever cryptic key tattooed on your hip. Lola straightens her posture. These real cops, as you say, would love to get their hands on that evidence. He taps the table. Besides the point, Sierra must go. She has shared too much with the do-gooders in the law and the people. The crystal moths have deemed her a target to silence. Permanently? Lola asks. Bingo. Oscar takes the open folder from Lola and turns the page. In return, we'll give you one of these. He points to a photograph of a charcoal diamond-shaped scale. Lola snorts. Really? Under the table, her leg bounces. Seeing the photo of an ash diamond is enough to rattle the brewing addiction that rumbles below the simmering flame of vengeance. Oscar presses his lips together and nods. He lifts the page's corner, showcasing a small, transparent bag containing charcoal powder taped to the back of the folder. Take it! Take it! Take it, dumb bitch! Are the words slithering through Lola's mind. They're not of her own. She recognizes it as the drug. With each passing moment, the ice bites harder at her fingers, causing her face to flush red and her heart rate to skyrocket. It's right there, within arm's reach. The power. Oscar closes the folder and places it on his lap. You're an interesting specimen, Lola. You're tuned into the old world. How? We'd like to know, yes. Before the crystal moths wrote you off as a fly. Now, here we are, working together. Took you idiots long enough, Lola says. No other ash dasher can withstand the continual temptation of that poison. Hell, they would have jumped at first sight of it. Not you, though. You discovered the old world. This intrigues Miss Stemma. The name makes Lola shiver. She hasn't met the drug lord or seen his face. Words have a potent effect on the mind. No, Lola says. Do it. Lola presumes she thinks. It's hard to tell, as the addiction distorts her consciousness. Let's make it easier for you. Oscar leans on the table, whispering, How about we take care of your brother and father, the way we did your mother? Lola's nostrils flare, getting nose to nose with him. Touch them, and I'll break you. I'd love to see you try. You know that's not possible. Work for us, and we'll reward you. Your relatives stay safe. I need to get out of here, Lola says. We could squeeze that into the arrangement. You can become an official family member of the Moths. I'd rather rot in prison. Oscar shrugs. Suit yourself. Yes, you must perform this task for us. A pointed object pokes Lola's leg. It isn't visible unless Lola makes a scene. It's far too sharp to be the tip of a shoe, more like a needle or a knife. It jabs her. Oscar's eyes point to the motion. Lola slides her chair, carefully so the guards do not see. Her hands explore under the table, grazing against a warm and smooth tentacle-shaped object akin to skin. Another poke tells her she reached too far. Her hand moves back, reaching to the end of this appendage to a metal handle. This is not a limb. It's a tail. Great, Lola thinks. Her hand follows the coiled tip to a sharp, thin, cool item. Oscar is offering her a knife. Lift, Oscar mutters. Lola gets the message. She lifts her tank top with one hand below the table, for the shapeshifter to slide the knife under. The tail tucks the blade nice and close against the elastic of her sweats. The cold metal tingles against her skin. Lola doesn't dare look down, keeping her eyes on Oscar to avoid suspicion. The tail slides from her torso, and she drops the fabric. Oscar buttons his blazer while standing and cupping the folder. No tail in sight. He nods at the guard at the far end of the room. Ponder it and act quickly, yes? He taps the table with 4 fingers and leaves Lola and her simmering anger. The guard's keys jingle from behind her. Lola cannot escape the moths. She opened Pandora's box, ignoring the warnings. The crystal moths are persistent and unforgiving. She has limited choices. The last thing she wants to do is become their assassin slave. Then again, she can work with the enemy and strike from within. That ash would be a perk to get her brain firing. She squeezes her arm. It's not the stress of living behind bars or the threat to her family that makes her want to kill Sierra. Her hungering vengeance ties Sierra, a crystal moth, to her. Each gangster needs to pay. Lola's scheming is masterful. Or the drug addiction is talking, whispering sinister ideas into the doomed Ash Dasher's soul. And that is chapter 1 of Obsidian's Command. Yeah, we Lola is given a task from the Crystal Moth, so that starts off the whole book. And obviously, a lot of things happen from there. The shapeshifter is another new character. That was a lot of fun to write. They have quite a significant part throughout the book. So, yeah, let's open up to some questions here. There are some on Facebook, and then I'll see some on Instagram. So, on Facebook, we have. Uh, oh yeah, glad you got book one, Bianca. Yeah, there's a lot to read because we got yeah, between the two books, it's quite the story. And Nadia, how many books are going to be in the series? I think there's definitely going to be three, at least three books. So for this initial story arc, there will be a concluding book, which will be the third. But there's plenty of ideas for more. But I'll see where the story ends up going, and I've got some other ideas for new stories I want to explore. But the third one I'll be working on quite soon here to at least wrap up this main story of Ashbourne. Um, and Charles, yes, Coolio, and Simon. Oh yes, yeah. I'm gonna be on Simon's blog on the 31st, so I'll be sharing that on social media. Thanks for having me, Isabel. Hey, yeah, nice to see you again. Cool. We have on Instagram here. L Stephenson. Hey, as a designer and writer, have you considered adapting these stories into graphic novel series? I have thought about that, and I would like to. The issue is it usually comes down to time, and time is finite. So you can either work on a new book or work on adopting a existing story into another medium. So like I've done audiobooks in the past too, but I've found it's more beneficial to keep writing the next book to continue a story versus going back and working on an audiobook just because I tend to record the audiobooks. If I could outsource it, like with the graphic novel, great. But as you know, as an author, limited budget. So maybe one day I'll get to make a graphic novel series. Charles. How does Rave fit into this universe? Good question. So, for those that don't know, in 2021, I put out a horror novel called Rave, and it's a 90s slasher that takes place in British Columbia and Alberta, where some kids from Prince George go to a rave, and there's a maniac killer chopping people up, which is a lot of fun to write. Covered like underground music culture and drugs and rambunctious early 20s and late teens and all that jazz. So in Rave is a fun one because it's a nice isolated story. And to give an idea, all of my stories are in what is known as the macrocosm. Probably showing up backwards there on Instagram, but um, yeah, the logo on the back of the books is the macrocosm, and right on my website, on the homepage, conlavery.com, at the bottom of the page, you see a massive timeline of the macrocosm that shows everyone where all the books and all the stories fit in this superverse. And the superverse is basically something I've been building as long as I've been writing, so forever. But it didn't really have a name until I think 2021 when I brought out a short story collection. And for Charles's question, how does Rave fit into this? The only actual connection would be back in Crystal Moth Conspiracy. Um, One character from Rave does make an appearance, and you had Red Rave, so the character fucking Buddy, named Tyrone, but the rave culture knows him as fucking Buddy. Um, he's much older now because Rave took place I think in '99 or '96, and Crystal Moth Conspiracy takes place in 2014. So Tyrone's a little older, and he works as a intel for Detective Aglacius, and he gives Aglacius some information on the drug Ash. But beyond that, Rave is quite separated from uh, from this series. And Simon, oh Simon, are you currently working on a novel? I am. I'm taking a slight break from Ashbourne because, yeah, in 1 year I've put out three of them. So in the span of 1 year, I guess, put out three of them. But yeah, I need a small break from that. So I am working on a cosmic horror novel that is pretty fun. It was something I wasn't pleased with back in 20, actually last year. I wrote the first draft last year, but it wasn't where I wanted. So I put it on the back burner and reworked it now, where it's an entity telling you its interactions with the people that work or come close to it. So, and it wants to basically consume people to bring them into what it calls the infinite maelstrom, and it'll basically provide people an endless immortal life with the universe. So it thinks it's providing a gift, but it kills people. So that's the gist of the story, and it's about halfway through the second draft, and planning to wrap it up by the end of the year so we can get back to book three here. Oh, hey Mandy, thanks for showing up. Yeah, no, thanks for dropping by, and yeah, if anyone showed up late, Facebook and Instagram here, so the two will be able to upload it, and you can scrub back and uh, read the book launch and the chapter one. So Charles, any new short stories on the way? Yeah, actually, I have two coming out. An Instagram here, El Steffensen here, is putting together a anthology called Violent Advents, and I was lucky enough to be involved with it. So thank you so much for having me in that anthology. It's a horror themed Christmas book with a lot of short stories, and they're all themed around Christmas. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and that's out, I think, mid-December or something. But yeah, that'll be the first one. I'm pretty stoked for. And then I have another one coming out in January, called Hauntings and Hoarfrost, and that is a winter-themed gothic anthology by Tyke Books, and that's another fun story. So December and January, I've got a couple of short stories coming out, and I've submitted to some others, so we'll see. But as more come out, I will let you all know. So in the meantime, I'll be working on that horror novel, then coming back to Ashbourne, book three, so we can find out the concluding part of what happens here. Because, yeah, it kind of leaves some things hanging without spoiling it. Oh, thanks, Nadia. Yeah, yeah. I'll be curious to hear what you think of the new book. And Bianca, that sounds cool. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. The Christmas themed horror book's gonna be a lot of fun. I'll be posting about that in the coming months here because now that Obsidian Command is out, I'll be promoting the Violent Advents a bit too. So you'll hear a little more about that and all the work and that the authors have put into that one. So, and thanks, Mandy. Yeah, yeah. And we'll see where the submissions go. And as you know, it's it's always a bit of work, but that's part of the fun. Um, yeah. So that is the launch here. And I guess before we wrap up, if anyone has any other questions to think of, I can show you some of the interior artwork within this book. If you didn't know, here, show Facebook first. These covers, as I did the typeface, but a good friend of mine, Lee Nielsen, illustrated them. So his work's fantastic. Definitely check him out. You can Google Lee Nielsen illustrator. You'll find his site. And so he's doing the main books of Crystal Moth or of Ashbourne. But in the interior artwork, that's where I kind of play with my graphic design background with photo collages and photo illustration. And if you don't know what photo illustration is, It's taking photographs and painting over top of them. So the book is split into 5 acts, and each act has their own kind of collage, almost like one of those Instagram mood boards. You probably, or not Instagram, Pinterest. Those Pinterest mood boards, um, showcasing key scenes found within the book. So they give visuals to help set the mood, and it really adds to my. I've always been super interested in transmedia storytelling, which is the art of telling a story across multiple mediums. So a lot of us know what a transmedia story is. Like, just think of Star Wars or Marvel or something, because when you have a big budget, it's really easy to, contract stuff out. And you make movies and comics and video games and all that jazz. But when you're one person, a little more difficult. But I have made some interesting compilations before. So that novel that Charles on Facebook had mentioned, Rave had some cool illustrations in it, but Rave also had a novel score to go with it. And I brought together some musician friends of mine, and then I'm a musician hobbyist myself, and put together a compilation of tracks that are original and all written around Rave. So between the artwork found in Rave and then the music for Rave, that creates a real immersive multimedia experience. With the Ashbourne series, it's purely visual, and with the artwork inside, on the outside, and the words themselves that tell the story. And who knows, maybe one day I'll do the the graphic novel if if time allows it. So yeah, that's the artwork in it, and all of them have it. So like Crystal Moth Conspiracy has artwork, and even the book that came out earlier this year, World Mother Ascension, has artwork in it as well. So yeah, lots of art. I think there's 3 in World Mother, and then both of these have 5. So there's 13 illustrations, photo illustrations in each of them. Okay. Um, it's basically, yeah, the whole launch, about half an hour. And yeah, I don't want to take up too much of everyone's time because it is the evening and we can have dinner and all that. But before we go, I will have a little toast. Cheers. Thank you, everyone, for coming out to the launch. You're all awesome. Really appreciate it. And yeah, the links will be in the chat, or if you can't find the links, just message me and I can send you the link where the books are. Because book 1 is free right now for a limited time, and then Obsidian's Command, the ebook's on sale for 99 cents for the remainder of the month, and then it's going back up in price. Yeah, so cheers. Thanks again. All right, have a good night, everyone. How do we exit this? That's how. And how do I exit this one? That's how. All right, bye.